Scholars have been arguing for a long time about whether King Arthur was a real person or just a legend. They've looked for evidence of his battles and even his famous sword Excalibur. Here are the hints that might tell us more about the true story of King Arthur, from the legendary Round Table to recently found ancient writings. The Battle of Badon Hill. The Battle of Badon Hill is a great episode in the King Arthur stories. In the 5th or 6th centuries, when the Anglo-Saxons started attacking the Britons, this battle was a big event. People believe it was the Britons' victory, but they are not sure who exactly led it. Some historians, like Nennius from the 9th century, wrote about it, saying it was the 12th Battle of Arthur. He stated that Arthur killed 940 enemies all by himself, which was his greatest victory over the Saxons. The next battle in this war was for the British, and they had peace for a while. However, the discussion is about the exact location of where the fighting took place. There are those who claim that it was in Lidington Castle near Badbury, Badbury Rings in Dorset, or Bath, or Bowden Hill in Scotland. Moreover, some people do not believe that the boy was really there. If he was so crucial, why do other texts not mention him at all? And why do they talk about the fight without his name being uttered? Nevertheless, the Battle of Badon Hill is a very important part of the legends about King Arthur. Glastonbury Abbey. Glastonbury is well known for its big music festival, but the history of the place is also very interesting, especially the legend of King Arthur. In 1190, a priest of the abbey in the town declared that he had found a tomb, which was considered to be the tomb of Arthur and Guinevere. In 1278, King Edward I was visiting the tomb when it was opened. This was described as being made of black marble with lions being at the base, a crucifix at the head, and an image of Arthur at the foot. It has been a destination for many tourists in the past, but there is a question of whether it is genuine. Some skeptics view the fire of 1180, which caused damage to the abbey, as proof that the monks made up the story to welcome visitors and collect money for rebuilding. Nonetheless, there's a memorial at the place that was thought to be the site of the tomb, even though it might not be the exact spot. For many, it is a symbol, and whether it is real or not does not matter because it is still a significant thing. The Sword of the Lake. The story of King Arthur and Excalibur, the sword he got from the Lady of the Lake, is one among the most popular tales in Arthurian legend. Nevertheless, the precise place where the lake, which is believed to be the source of the sword, is located and later returned when he was fatally wounded is not known. There has been a variety of opinions on the whereabouts of this lake, with 8 different locations suggested, one of them being Dozmary Pool in Cornwall, located up on Bodmin Moor near Bolventor. For this reason, it is often considered that the size and location of this park are in harmony with the storytelling. In 2017, a schoolgirl and her father were in the news when they discovered what looked like an old artifact, a sword, while they were paddling in Dozmary Pool. But as the sword was found to be a few decades old, not antiquated from the time of King Arthur. Only an original artifact of the ancient times found in the waters of a lake that corresponds to the legends will disclose the hidden location of the fabled lake. However, it is still possible that one day the truth will be revealed. Tintagel Castle. The myth says that the castle of Tintagel in Cornwall is where Arthur was conceived by his parents. The story is that his father, Luther Pendragon, who was in disguise as the Duke of Cornwall, spent the night with the Duke's wife, and eventually Arthur was born. Though this story is not directly mentioned in the stories, there is evidence that Tintagel Castle was related to that period. In 2018, scientists found some inscriptions on a stone more than 1,300 years old. Among them were symbols, such as the Christian cross, Greek letters, and Latin words, including the word Fili, meaning son, and Redi Duo, meaning 2 men. This could be the events that are said to have happened at the castle, which will make it more associated with Arthurian legend. His children. Mordred is not often called Arthur's son, but he is actually his nephew, according to the original Welsh texts. Yet Arthur was reported to have had 5 children whose names are pretty difficult to pronounce. Firstly, Astum is said to have been killed by Arthur himself and was buried in a place called Arking, which is unknown. The reason for Arthur's actions isn't very clear. Another child, she, was killed by a boar's sharp tusks. Duran died on the battlefield of Camlann, where Mordred also met his end. One of the three most renowned warriors of Britain, whose name was El, was a respected soldier who died in battle, and his memory was celebrated in songs and poems. Turning to Kay, the son of Arthur and a woman who was not Guinevere, the mother of the other children, very little information is available about him. Arthur's family life was probably very difficult, and there is no evidence that any of his children had children of their own, which means that Arthur's bloodline ended with them. Whether Arthur's story is based on the Welsh accounts or other versions, it's evident that his reign did not last long after his time. The name Arthur. What happened to the tradition of kings being named Arthur after the legendary one? To tell you the truth, it's a little bit of a mystery. In the history of English and Welsh, we have had many Henry, Edwards, George, and Williams, but no Arthur. There have been some kids named Arthur who were in line to be king, but their life was short. Another example is, Arthur was supposed to be Richard I's heir, but he died at 16. Another Arthur, the son of Henry VII, died at 15 as well. His death made Henry VIII the king, and some people say that was not a good thing. However, these myths have not produced any real King Arthurs, but the name is still significant in the royal family. Prince Charles, Prince William, and Prince Louis have Arthur as one of their names in the middle. Hence, though there is no King Arthur, the name still has a place in the royal tradition. It still remains to be seen. However, although there are numerous historical writings about Arthur and his knights, the legend often remains difficult to be confirmed. However, the new details are still coming out. In the beginning of 2019, the University of Bristol Library was fortunate to have 7 fragments of an ancient manuscript discovered in one of their books. The scientists identified Arthurian names in these texts, which appeared to have been written in the early 13th century, which is a few centuries after the time of Arthur. The newly found texts provide more information about battles, deaths of characters, and more details about Merlin and Arthur's adventures. Such studies are required, but this may lead to the discovery of more writings that could help us to learn the reality behind King Arthur's story. It is a thrilling discovery that helps the mystery to be maintained and also leads to more exploration into Arthurian legend. Thanks for watching. Do you think that King Arthur was a real person? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Feel free to share them in the comments section below. Do not forget to subscribe, and I will see you again. Bye for now.